On Friday, May the 15th, faculty, students, and staff, as well as supporters of public education, rallied in San Francisco at the Mission campus of City College of San Francisco and Fort Mason to demand an end to the cutbacks and the protection of the campuses, which are all threatened with being sold off and destroyed. This was part of their rally and speak out. Welcome all of you. My name is Steve Zeltzer. I'm with the Higher Education Action Team, HEAT, and we're here today in front of the Mission campus at Community College, and we're here to really demand that this campus and ESL and our community college system be preserved, because what is happening behind the pandemic, behind the crisis that we're in, is that there are moves being made by the management of City College, Diane Gonzalez, the former administrators of Mark Rocha, and the Board of Trustees who are going along with it to destroy the ESL, English as a Second Language program, by laying off the teachers, terminating the teachers. And what we believe is that the protection of community college, the protection of our public community college system is absolutely critical to the people of San Francisco who spent lifetimes getting education here. This is a lifetime training facility. And for the immigrants of San Francisco, the migrants who've come to San Francisco and have a right to have an education so they can speak English. Do you think that the basic requirement of people in this country is to have education to speak English? Without the right to speak English, the ability to speak English, your future is threatened. So why would the college be cutting off ESL, destroying the programs, English as a Second Language program, laying off professors? It's unconscionable. It has to stop. Our next speaker is Audrey from the Civic Center campus, and she's going to talk about that fight to keep that campus. Welcome, Audrey.
Hey, Audrey. Hi, everybody. My name is Audrey Wallace, and hello, everybody. My name is Audrey Wallace, and I'm an instructor at Civic Center campus, and I'm going to talk about the heartbeat for a second. San Francisco is my home, and I was born in Oakland. And I think Tamina put it so beautifully. It is the heartbeat and the spirit and the soul of our city. And my story, before I'm going to talk about the cuts, my story about City College doesn't begin and end right now, and it doesn't begin with me being hired as an instructor. My mom was a single mom. Now she's a grandma, and she started at City College when I was in high school. Before that, she wasn't able to go to college. She worked in a lot of the same fields as a lot of my students in home health and housekeeping and factory work and food service. And she started college when she was in her 40s and I was in high school. And moved on to go to San Francisco State, and she had to take a lot of time off because she worked at the same time. And when my daughter, who's over there, right there, when she was born, my mom finally graduated from college. I'm sorry. Sorry, didn't expect that to happen at all. Everyone I know has gone to City College and has, when I was 12 years old, I met my friend Kaya, and her mom is Leslie, who was a teacher at City College and has worked for a long time in our union. And my husband went here for Spanish classes at night. My kids I took to the early childhood centers with other babies from City College too, and I'm very proud to be a part of this institution that is the heartbeat and the spirit and the soul of our city. The older people I know, my aunt who's 81, she took every single art class until they changed the repeatability laws or rules. And now when I go into the classroom and I see my students and they're so happy to be there in class. I teach ESL, and in ESL we teach all levels. I teach literacy right now, and I've taught all the way up to levels 7, 8, and 9. They come in, and this is their time. This is their moment in their life where they get to do something for themselves. And they're working, most of them, 2 or 3 jobs sometimes. They're taking care of their kids. They somehow fit English class in because it's so, so important to them. And our department now is facing 20% cuts to all of our classes. What this means for our students is that they will have less opportunities for those really life-changing classes. There's about 60 of us are let go indefinitely. We don't have jobs next semester. I myself am losing my health insurance for myself and my kids, so get ready for that, Ellie. Our campus, I could go on and on. Our campus was shut down 5 years ago, really suddenly, a couple days before class, and there was no notice. And we were scattered to the 4 winds, and we were relocated for a semester, and then moved to a temporary location on Market Street, which is now right on UN Plaza, Civic Center campus. That's the temporary location. The permanent location is actually 750 Eddy, which was supposed to be renovated in the last 6 years and hasn't been, and is lying empty, although we own it. It's our building. And we don't know. We don't have any real information on what's going to happen with that building. We've heard that we're going to close our campus and be relocated again. I could tell a lot of stories about every single student. I don't know how many pictures I've been in where somebody got their citizenship and they came in their beautiful dress and they wanted to take a picture with me, or how many times a student has told me about a job interview and then they got the job, or how many times a student has come in and said, "Oh, teacher, I need to talk to the school, my child's school, and I don't know how," and I help them with that. But I'm going to tell one story right now, and then I'll hand the mic over. There was a student a few years ago. His name, I'm not going to say his name. I'm going to change it to Juan. And I was teaching a class where he was there every single day, front row, happy as can be, and always engaged, always right there, always wanted to answer the questions. And towards the end of the semester, a couple of days went by and he wasn't there. And one Friday, he came in towards the end of class. He wasn't there the whole time. It's very windy. And he came in and he didn't look good. He obviously looked like he had been probably sleeping kind of rough. He was wearing a sweatshirt but nothing underneath. It was zipped up. And he didn't look good. He looked really sad. He walked in and I could tell something was wrong. And I told the rest of the students, I'm going to go talk to him in the hallway. And I went and talked to him. And he said, "Teacher, I'm an alcoholic. And I started drinking again. And I am afraid for my life. I'm afraid of what I'm going to do to myself. I feel like I'm going to hurt myself." And he was also diabetic, and he hadn't taken his insulin. And he looked really, he didn't look good. And I dismissed the class, and and every single person, you know, at Civic Center we have sometimes 12, 16 different countries there. They come together every day and they're a community, you know, and every single person came up to him and said, you know, hello, and I hope you feel better, and take care. Every single person, they were right there with him. And nobody was afraid of him. Nobody treated him like, you know, like he was bad. And I was really concerned with how this would work. And, you know, my coordinator said, well, the protocols, we need to call campus police. And I said, oh, geez, I don't want to call the police on this guy. But he was like, well, we had to follow the protocol. I stayed with him the whole time, and our campus police came, and our campus police, I can't remember his name, but he was a tall, big guy, but as gentle as a kitten, and he was so good with Juan, and he knew exactly how to talk to him. All of our office staff were on what was happening. They kept the San Francisco police out of the situation. They got him health care. They got him to health care. And, you know, I felt so good that day. I felt like, you know, from my students to the office staff to the other teachers to our campus police, like we were a team. We were working so well together to take care of this one person. And, you know, I mean, and I didn't know, you know, what was going to happen with him. He came back to class, and I've seen him every semester since. He gives me cards at the end of the semester to say thank you. And he's you know, he's still there. He's coming back every day, you know, in the elevator. Hi, teacher. And, you know, we can say a lot of things about City College that, you know, it feeds our spirit, our soul. And we, you know, learn skills so that we get citizenship, or we get jobs, or we transfer to another college or university. But it really does save lives too. And you never know who in your class or what person you touch or what students are going to affect each other. And it's truly a public gem, a public treasure that we need to protect, and we need to not cut classes. We need to not sell or get rid of our buildings. We need to at this point especially, we need to rebuild San Francisco economically and spiritually, right? We need to we need to feed our hearts and our body and our minds, and get out of this in a better way than we were before. I think that's it. Thank you. Thank you, Audrey.
Hi, everybody. I'm one of the professors out at the Evans campus, where we teach trades mostly, and our trades programs have been decimated over the last few years. Classes have been cut, and teachers have been laid off. Some of our long-term teachers that have worked for over 20 years don't have assignments anymore. Also, I'd like to speak to the fact that they plan on closing Fort Mason. We're going to go over there this afternoon. There's no reason to close this great facility down. It's in a really good neighborhood, good part of the city. It connects City College with the arts. There's a lot of other art programs and partnerships that go on between the college and arts. So the cost of the lease there is very, very small compared to what's being offered out there. We have a lot of older adults that take classes out there, art classes. It keeps them engaged, it keeps them active. They have a social community there as well of fellow artists. So it's a real travesty that that particular campus would get closed down. I know for a fact that the landlord there wants to keep City College on as a partner. All they need is a little bit of a commitment from the college to going forward, that they keep the programs there and keep the partnership going. So it's only a matter of a little bit of funding to keep the college going and keep the programs over there. And it would be a terrible shame for us to lose that space, and for the artists of San Francisco to lose that space at Fort Mason. So I would encourage everybody to get over there this afternoon. We're going to have a rally, and we're going to try and stop this terrible devastation to the arts. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Stephen. And another thing that is happening at City College and other institutions is using the pandemic, their excuse. There's a lack of transparency, and the Brown Act is being violated, and people can't find out what's really going on. And this is vital that we protect transparency. We cannot have secrecy because we have a right to know what's happening. And our next speaker is Harry Bernstein, who is a professor and has been fighting for transparency and for the public to know what is going on at City College. Welcome, Harry.
Thank you very much. Glad to be part of this great event. So I've been looking into this. I've been looking into the story of Mark Rocha, who has a very interesting history. He was controversial when he was hired because there was such a history of what happened to him in his last position as president of Pasadena City College. At the end of his tenure of 3 to 4 years, he had lost the support of almost everyone except the Board of Trustees, which reappointed him. And they finally decided he had to go, but they paid him $400,000. This was done in a secret meeting, and that is in violation of the Open Meetings Act. And eventually they were sued because of this, and the judge said that was the reason, that they had discussed compensation in private and had not notified the public on the agenda that they were going to do that. He had to give back the money. Eventually he was paid anyway, but that's the precedent for exactly what's happened here in San Francisco. The voters approved $845 million of a facilities bond in March 3rd of this year, and then unexpectedly on the 23rd of that month, the president of the board decided that they would remove him and didn't give any reason why. Then on the 26th, which is the regular meeting, they met for almost 2 hours, and they came back. And if they wanted to have him leave, they should have announced that and decided in public on their the decision and worked it out. But they did everything in private. They also had a 4-page legal argument. The 4-page legal argument laying everything out. So again, they knew about what had happened to him 4 years ago. And they did almost the same playbook. And that would be that. There's the 2 assistant, the vice chancellors. They are now in charge of City College, and one of them has become the interim chancellor. There is a little process. They have not responded to this notice of violation of the Brown Act. And what it calls for is for them, they have 30 days to rescind the money, to admit that what they had done was wrong, and that they wouldn't do it again. We have a severance pay altogether about $400,000, and he's off in Florida as far as I know, and he talks in his LinkedIn page about how terrific a job he did at City College. But here we are with a $27 million deficit. And Stephen, before me, talked about the process of public, of being able to know what's going on, to be able to say your voice, and the Board of Trustees is doing a poor job. They also never said what they didn't like about him, which means that any policies of Rocha are continuing to this day, except there's less money and there's downsizing, and the mayor is also helping this. So we need to work together in the future, put some pressure on the board to respond to this act. There's a deadline, I believe, is next Friday, so they need to respond and not do this action in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. And let's be clear. The Board of Trustees voted secretly, illegally really, they voted illegally to give Mark Rocha, the former chancellor, $400,000. $400,000 without a discussion, without a debate, to give him $400,000. That would pay the cost of the lease at Fort Mason. So here they're paying off the chancellor, the former corrupt chancellor, of $400,000, but they don't have money. They don't have money to keep Fort Mason going for the art classes and the other classes. It's outrageous. It's unconscionable, and we want to know from the Board of Trustees, Shanell Williams, why they would do a secret deal to pay off Rocha for $400,000, but they don't have money for Fort Mason. Why is that? How is that? How could that be? We want to keep Fort Mason. We want to keep our campuses. We have a right to have education. So in light of the fact that this is a cultural institution, young people, seniors, others do art, they do readings. It is an intellectual endeavor on this great campus. We have an art contribution from Tamina, who's going to read a poem. So welcome, Tamina.
Hi everybody, my name is Tamina Khan. I'm a teacher at City College. I teach English, I teach poetry for the people. About a year ago I wrote this poem called The Heartbeat of City College, and I just want to remind us that we are all City College. We are the heartbeat of City College. Chancellors come and go, Board of Trustees, they come and go, but we are City College. So here we go. The heartbeat of City College. The heartbeat of City College pounds the pavement from Balboa Park BART station uphill to the Science Building, then down to the MUB, and later up the circle to the library before it closes at 2:45 on a Friday afternoon. The heartbeat of City College is the 18-year-old who always felt hated by school, who comes to class on the first day with a swagger that betrays fear. But he sees himself in the faces of his classmates and comes back the next day and the next. The heartbeat of City College is the 30-year-old who works at a nightclub until 3 in the morning and makes it to math class at 9. The heartbeat of City College is the immigrant grandma who takes non-credit English class at Chinatown campus and tells you something new every day. How are you? I am fine. I tell you story. Then she passes her citizenship test and votes for the next mayor and the next president. The heartbeat of City College is solving for X and Y, mapping points on a graph, long after you'd shut down the numbers inside you because you thought you couldn't do math. The heartbeat of City College is the high school graduate who took 6 AP classes and got admitted to UC Davis, but then his father had a heart attack, so he comes here instead, so he can be home with his family every evening. The heartbeat of City College is the 50-year-old carpenter who fell from a ladder and needs a new career, who comes to City College and reads an entire book for the very first time and pours out his passion in a paper about gentrification. The heartbeat of City College radiates energy over Twin Peaks, northwest to Pacific Heights, southeast to the Bayview, outwards towards Ocean Beach, and inwards to Mission Bay. The heartbeat of City College is a daily journey from Antioch because the city rents are too high, but you need to be here because you're from here. You need to feel the city pulse and see the rainbow of brown faces in your classrooms and hear the symphony of global accents and dialects, the echo of the neighborhood that once was. And you know you are lucky because one classmate lives in a car, another slept on a campus bench last night, but they still come to class because it makes them feel hopeful, alive, and smart. The heartbeat of City College is the refugee from Yemen whose high school transcript, along with her entire school, was blown up in the proxy war, who rides Muni every day through the stares and glares at the scarf on her head as she checks her phone for news of home. And she walks into the classroom because her education is all she has. The heartbeat of City College is the woman living with chronic illness who drives out to Fort Mason campus to dig her hands into wet clay, molding it into beautiful things. The heartbeat of City College is the mother from the Pitt River Reservation who tells her people's origin story in English class and writes an essay comparing it to the Epic of Gilgamesh. The heartbeat of City College is the retired engineer who always wanted to paint, who comes to study oil painting, watercolors, then art history, then Spanish because her grandson is learning Spanish in kindergarten. The heartbeat of City College is the artist who had a stroke, who boards the bus, with his adaptive scooter and rides to John Adams campus, where he trains his right hand to paint again, and with his hand, colors emerge from the gray fog inside his mind. The heartbeat of City College is the janitor who cleans the classrooms after the last night class, who is a student too, and arranges his work hours so he can attend English class in the day. The heartbeat of City College lands heavy and broken after a massacre at a school, a prayer hall, a shopping center, and we all want to hide away, but we come to class anyway because we know we will look into each other's faces and find someone who looks back at us and knows our pain. The heartbeat of City College is the dentist who retired early because the job was killing him, who learns to love flowers and arranges them in displays for a reception at the fancy private school his daughter attends, where he tells everyone how the flowers and City College have changed his life, have saved his life. The heartbeat of City College is the single mother who left an abusive man, who creates a soft space for her children, who seeks out a caregiver, goes to work, then says yes to herself every day when she enters the classroom. The heartbeat of City College is the flickering flames of remembrance in the dark night for the transgendered student who took their own life during a lonely break between semesters, for the mother murdered by her baby's father just as she was finding her own voice in a community of survivors, for the recent graduate shot dead by police officers in a park near his home. The heartbeat of City College are the stories that come together in the classrooms and the hallways, stories of border crossings, hate crimes, police brutality, sexual assault, loved ones murdered, legacies of generational trauma. And we listen, and we don't flinch, because in each story we hear our own voice. The heartbeat of City College is repeating a class and repeating it again and feeling discouraged and wanting to quit. And you sit with a tutor in the lab and try one problem again and again, and then you get it. Algebra starts to make sense. And it's actually a little bit fun. The heartbeat of City College is strong when people tell you, "You're not Stanford. Why should we listen to you?" And you say, "We are here, and we've lived through things, and we know things, and we can read and write and analyze, so listen." The heartbeat of City College is the overeducated professor who was offered a university job in Kansas but wants to be here, who talks like a peer-reviewed journal but learns to listen to the languages in his classroom and changes the way he talks to make physics playful again. The heartbeat of City College is the professor who took 10 years to get her master's degree through illness, parenting, and work, and finally gets the job she loves, even if it's part-time. Spends day and night thinking, worrying, planning, only for the job to be taken away. And still she comes back because she refuses to work at a job she doesn't love. The heartbeat of City College is a fusion of food cultures at chef's table, spicy hot, salty sweet, hailing from 5 continents. Elegant tables masking the joyful, sweaty chaos of the kitchen. The heartbeat of City College is the Rams Market food pantry to feed our bodies, brains, and souls, because we know we can't change the world on an empty stomach. The heartbeat of City College is the transgender student from Sweden who also has autism, who stands up at the Board of Trustees meetings and tells them to keep the diversity classes and not to put them online, that in these classes we find community and become strong in an era of hate. The heartbeat of City College is the Latina student who joins Basa and learns to dance Oceana dances, feels the fluidity in her body, connecting one community to another. The heartbeat of City College is sanctuary, affirming our right to exist in our pronouns, our clothes, our faith, our languages, our names pronounced correctly, our skin, our hair, and all the history coursing through our veins. The heartbeat of City College is commencement in the stadium, all flowers and balloons and cries of joy from the villages that raised you, resonating upwards into the sky. The heartbeat of City College is a living, breathing thing, a soft thing with feathers, fierce at its core, shining with a light so bright it blinds us of everything else. It cannot be defined, stenciled, colored within the lines. It cannot be put in a box, covered in shiny paper, tied with a ribbon. It cannot be bargained over and sold to the highest bidder. The heartbeat of City College is unruly, like this poem. It will not sit down and do as it's told. It is impatient and flying, full of ideas in all directions. The heartbeat of City College is ready to shake things up, with hands, with hearts, with words, numbers, and investigation and imagination. The heartbeat of City College is you, is me, is us, and it is our best hope for a new day.
Thank you, Audrey, and that's what we're talking about. Free people, free the spirit. Provide for the people of San Francisco. Provide for all the people of San Francisco. That's what community college is about. And we have a right to do that. We have a right in this city to have a community college because what is going on threatens the very existence of this college. The students, the faculty, the staff have been decimated. The faculty have been decimated. When you don't even have health care in the midst of this crisis. Our next speaker is Pablo Rodriguez. He's with some students and he teaches here at the Mission campus. Welcome, Pablo Rodriguez.
Let me see, because of the what the city said that you have to wear certain things, so let me get closer. Brothers and sisters, and I want everybody over there also to hear it. Everybody, because this is, I'm on the second floor. I'm teaching on the second floor. Many of those students will no longer come back. Their classes have been eliminated. Brothers and sisters, we have hundreds of faculty who can no longer bring bread to the table. Can no longer do that. The city has been privatized. The city. They are taking everything from us. City College of San Francisco has costed the community blood and tears for many years. Now with this privatizing, they're taking over. They are taking over our city college. They want to leave City College only with one building, Ocean Campus. That's what it is. Brothers and sisters, let's call it what it is. This is not new. It's been in the making. Ever since they started to give the city to the Yahoos, to the Googles, to the Facebook. It's not about money. So one has to be clear. We have to be clear. This is not about money. There are plenty of wealthy guys, not only here, but in the Bay Area. We are the place that holds most of the billionaires and millionaires in the whole world. And you are telling me that right now faculty members, brothers and sisters, are losing their insurance because we need a couple of $1 million. Let's find out. Let's call it what it is. And this building that you see here, brothers and sisters, you see this beautiful building? A few years ago, it was not here. The community fought for it. We were only left with the little building in the back. So we built it, the community. So now the Googles and the Facebooks are coming to town, and all of our brothers and sisters are forced out. City College of San Francisco, brothers and sisters. City College of San Francisco, when I was here as a student, it had 110,000 students. Now we are down to the 40s. And they want to bring it even down. So it's a plan. It is a plan. Now they are taking advantage of that thing that is going around that is forcing us to wear all these things. They're taking advantage of that. So you see some of the students here. Some of the others could not make it. I talked to them. I talked to all of them. They are the ones who right now are risking their lives over there, keeping the city going. And guess what we did to them? We told them, I'm sorry, in the fall, you're not classes, no classes. And right now, in the summer, no classes either. Just online. When have you seen that? Just online classes. This is, I have to remind you, this is public institution. This is public, this is not private. So, somebody asked me yesterday, so why you are paying $300,000 to administrators? And I tell them, well, look, because we are privatized now. This is privatized. It's called, let's call it what it is, so we can fight it. We can fight it with all what we got. And what we got is me and you. That's what we got. Right now, look what happened. Yesterday, they just announced classes that are for the people are going to be eliminated even more. So now, our own students that we have in the program whose immigration status, look at this, immigration status depend upon whether they are taking classes or not. Because that's one of the requirements. Guess what now? Those programs are now being eliminated. That's what it is. So, look at this, is amazing. Right now in this situation, and we are here. So this is great. So what we gotta do now is, like, even if this group, you know who decide on City College, and that's what they say, the Board of Trustees. So imagine if we all go to every single house of those privatizing agents. They're being used because they are the ones who are making decisions. So let's go, surrounded their houses, and call it what it is. Because they are sitting over there in their desks, dictating policies that are killing our faculty. Yesterday, I got several messages from some of our faculty. Two of them can no longer, hey, let's say this, because this is San Francisco, the United States of America. People might say, oh my God, is that true? Can that happen? Of course it's happening. Two sisters who are no longer gonna have a job, they lost their insurance. And they are on medication. So, they could, their life is in danger. So, I just want to publicly say here, whatever happened to our brothers and sisters, we have to hold accountable those privatizers who are violating, actually, our own code. Because this is public institutions.
Our last speaker is going to be Wynn Kaufman. She's the Vice President of AFT 2121. Welcome, Wynn.
You still are.
No, well, I'm a lame duck vice president. I did do a presidential bid. I lost, so now I'm back on the streets.
That's right.
So, anyway, I do want to just update you on the Civic Center campus. As Audrey said, back in 2015, when we were under the state takeover, Art Tyler, then chancellor, closed that campus on the Friday before classes started in the spring semester. That Friday, they were closed. And so students showed up, the teachers showed up, even though they knew that the campus was closed, to help the students try to understand what was going on. Anyway, it was a very traumatic event, and the reasoning was very flimsy. It was something about seismic upgrades, which they had known about for 10 years. So the community said no. They got together, they mobilized, they got together with the students, the faculty, the classified staff at that location, and the whole city of San Francisco said no. And so City College didn't sell off that campus at that time, and they promised to rebuild it. Well, like Audrey said, it's been sitting there for 6 years. Why? I don't know. I'm on the facilities committee, and we keep asking, what's happening with the Eddy Street campus? And they're like, well, you know, we're going to do something soon. And then nothing ever happens. Well, a couple of weeks ago, during a facilities meeting, a consultant was giving a presentation on some action items that were going to the Board of Trustees. One of the action items was selling Eddy Street campus. And we were like, what? What? And then they realized, oh yeah, we haven't really talked to you about that. And so they said, we'll go back and figure this out and get back to you. Well, we're still waiting to hear what's going on with that. It was a crack in the surface that we even saw that. And now I'm just hoping that we can get an explanation for it because it hasn't been forthcoming. So I hope that the plans for seismically upgrading Eddy Street are going to get done soon, and that beloved campus will reopen that the community fought for. Thank you.
Everyone in their own language just waves at you and says goodbye. It's a Zoom thing.
Hello, my name is Conrad Dunton. I am both a beneficiary of the program as a student and as faculty. I have taught at City College in the capacity of the continuing education and sometimes in the older adult education department. It is for those that have been in the program or for those that have had any contact, including my 8 and 9-year-old kids who have sometimes visited, have self-evident that these programs are vital for the health of the city and the health of our older adult population. The questions we have are not being answered, such as why is a program such as the older adult education, which is basically paid for by the state, considered a cost to City College? Any class that has sufficient number of older adult education students can self-fund. So why are they saying this is a financial burden? Furthermore, Fort Mason is one of the only satellites of City College out here in the northern part of the city, and is the only one that can support the people here in this area. Why would they consider shutting down a place that is vital to this part of the city to help older adults and other students, such as in the continuing ed program, to get continuing education, or a community of fellow people who want to learn, who want to continue growing and continue relating and networking with each other? The system that we have in place has been working, has been for a large part self-funded. The costs at Fort Mason are incredibly low, and yet we have been fighting this fight for many years. This is not the first time we're protesting exactly in this spot to fight for Fort Mason, and the excuses they bring are usually thin and erroneous and are quickly corrected if they are brought into the public's attention. So please, if you have the chance to bring more of these falsehoods to the public attention, please do so with your fellow friends, but also with those who have power to wield, such as the city and the school governing body. Thank you for your time.
Folks, thanks for coming out today. We really appreciate your effort and the visibility that you've given us for this fight to save Fort Mason from being shut down. You know, they say that this is about money, and I don't believe that, because I looked at the real estate report last week, and the lease is only about $408,000 a year. And I know that the management of Fort Mason really want to keep us here, keep our program. They've been bending over backwards to try and make it happen. So it's not Fort Mason, if anyone, or the management of Fort Mason that's the problem is with. $408,000. That's about what they paid Rocha to leave. So that could have paid for Fort Mason for the next year. I know from talking to people who have been in this fight that the management here really would like to keep us here long term if we could work out some kind of a deal. I got my 49ers hat on here. If anyone would like some naming rights to help us keep this program here, that would be great, you know. It's not a lot of money. This is a great partnership for the community between, you know, art and the college. It gives us focus. If you go to the Fort Mason webpage, we're right there, City College. We're a big part of this community here at Fort Mason. And if we leave, what's going to happen to all of the other businesses and the other programs that are here? There's some great bats are here, Bay Area Theatre Sports. I know there's a child theatre here. All of these programs are vital to keep us all healthy, both spiritually and also mentally. So if it's about money, which it isn't, there was also a report came out yesterday with the amount of money. It was supposed to tell us the amount of money that the programs generate, and it was very unclear. They combined it with the Civic Center. These are money-earning programs, and I would like to see the numbers on how much money is actually being generated from these classes. You know, a proper auditing. The whole college needs a forensic audit, and we want to see where the money is going, because it's not about money. They have just decided that they want to close this program down because it's just, you know, too much work for them, I think, maybe. So anyway, that's my little bit that I wanted to say on this. And keep up the good fight. Keep writing. You guys don't know how important it is to write to the Board of Trustees. These are our elected folks. That your emails are what really get their attention. And you can sit down and you can really think about what you want to say in an email. And you have it there, and you can send it to them and put a list of all of the other board members on there. But also, you can CC the mayor on that and the board of supervisors and let them know how important this is. This is an important part of our community. I remember years ago when I was a young man, I took some guitar lessons here in CCSF, and you know, I really love this campus, and it's so beautiful, and it would be a terrible loss to us if we lose Fort Mason. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Jean Sherry. I am part of the older adults live sculpting group Friday mornings. We put art in the Fort Mason Art Center, and we put art in the community, which is lacking. It's going to be turned into reading, writing, and arithmetic without art. Art here at Fort Mason and the sculpting class saved my life when I came to San Francisco to take care of my dad in the last years of his life. Boy, that wasn't easy. And I discovered sculpting here, and it saved me. I needed that creative outlet, and all of us, all of the artists, a classroom always filled to 30 to 40 seniors. And they don't need us, they do. So we need to have art in the community. We need art in San Francisco. We need art in the world. We need art and creativity to be here now. Here we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey.
Hello, my name is Sue Fandel. I'm 70 years old. For the last 10 years, since I wasn't working, art has been my savior. And I've taken many classes here at Fort Mason. And the facilities are very good. For, let's say, for sculpture, they have a kiln here. Now, you can't just find a kiln anywhere. And so why close it down? Also, printmaking. They have printing presses here worth very much money, and those should be allowed to operate. And I am just so sad. I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't have my art. And my friends who I've made. Those are my people now. So please keep Fort Mason open. Thank you.
3 years ago, the acting interim chancellor came to this campus to tell us it was going to close. The seniors in particular at the figure sculpture and figure drawing class raised hell. Conrad mentioned a previous demonstration. They came with a reasoning that there was a Field Act requirement to straighten out the earthquake issues. One of the instructors says, no, it isn't. We raised questions at full board meetings about that and about their cost figures. They said it would cost something like $3.5 million to fix this place up to make it safe. We made a noise about it. We went to the papers about it. They ended up a couple of months later with a new study that said it would cost over $16 million to fix the problem. We asked them at a meeting, if you have to do this, what's your timetable? Where is your action plan? And the city, the attorney that was that helps them said, we'll talk about this in private. They never talked about it in private again, but kept giving 6-month and 7-month and short-term extensions to the lease. It looked like they were just waiting for their chance. And here they are again with attempts to get rid of this wonderful historic campus that's been in operation for over 40 years with a lot of loyal students. They went for a bond program, $845 million to renovate all of the facilities. 3 weeks later, they were cutting 300 classes, including 52 out of 58 remaining older adult program classes. That was the week before Thanksgiving. They also evidently went forward with another plan to get rid of Fort Mason. And now, as the previous speaker mentioned, they've combined some of the financials of Fort Mason with another campus to show that, holy cow, they're losing $54,000 a year net from what's coming in versus what's going out. And we're very suspicious about those figures. Why don't they just give us Fort Mason figures? The classes have been well attended. That was another excuse they gave before Thanksgiving. They're getting rid of low attendance classes. These classes have been extremely well attended and faithfully attended for decades. So we're concerned about the class cuts for everybody, as well as the class cuts in particular disproportionately for seniors. And we want to keep this terrific campus with its specialized facilities open for another 40 years. The board has also done a whole range of other things to shut people up, to silence people. There have been extensive violations of the Brown Act, which regulates the state's meetings, public meetings, and the Public Records Act, which basically makes every record a public record and almost all of them disclosable. They have refused, for example, to give us their draft minutes in past years and saying only, oh, we'll give you the minutes when they're approved. How is the public supposed to give informed comment on, for example, draft minutes if they don't give the draft out before they approve it? Just yesterday, they suddenly changed how they take public comment, and instead of following their own printed procedures on the website for taking emailed public comment, they just simply tossed that aside. They said, we're taking folks who are on Zoom, and if you're not on Zoom, too bad. If you sent us the emailed comments, we're not even going to read them. They have a whole range of ways in which they've excluded the public, in which they have violated open government laws, and that helps them to do all of the bad things that they want to do and that they want to pull on the public. I think it's particularly egregious that they got their $845 million bond measure in early November, and about 3 weeks later cut the classes and basically set in motion getting rid of City College. So we're here to protect the classes, the older adult program in particular, and this wonderful campus here.
Good afternoon. My name is Marilee Hearn. I have been going to Fort Mason since I retired from San Francisco Unified. That was in 2008. I have a long history with this campus, and I have fought for it every time. As Peter explained, there has been a threat to remove us. This is a community. This is an institution. We have been working together as artists for over 40 years, as you've been told. One of the problems is every time a bond issue comes up on the ballot, naturally we're going to fight for that. Naturally we're going to agree to have some of our tax money used for it. Why? Because we are a part of this. Now, what happens when we are told you're no longer a part of it? What the Board of Trustees explained is that they have their priorities. Obviously, a couple of groups, vulnerable ones, people like older adults, are not one of them. Our money is good enough to pay for taxes for the bond issue, but apparently we don't count for too much. What they have canceled all of our classes, our OLAD classes, Older Adults Program, and the other program of very vulnerable people are the bilingual classes that they have cut. So when you start looking at two particular groups that have been hit very hard, it's two vulnerable groups. Now, what does that say about the power structure? So easy to think that they can knock off and destroy the vulnerable ones. So today I am very, very angry at what is going on and has been going on for a very long time now. But it was pretty definite yesterday in terms of their decision making. So they had all their paperwork, the classes here, and we house 80% of our classes here, 80% are art classes. So they are going to be divided up, and some are going to be sent to the main campus, some are going to be sent to the Mission campus, and some are going to be sent to the Chinatown campus. What happens to the community? What happens to the community of artists who work here, who learn here? And that's the last point I want to bring up. The idea, as far as our Board of Trustees is concerned, is to set priorities. The priorities are now with STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. What happened to the arts? Oh, well, that's really not a priority. It's a priority in that the arts are the soul of any kind of educational system. They may have a body out there and a mind, but they need the soul, and we are the ones who are the soul. So anyway, so please help us just to continue to step up and speak out. Thank you.
I'm the outgoing Vice President of AFT 2121, the faculty union. We've been fighting class cuts. We've been fighting the downsizing of City College. I've been doing it since the accreditation troubles. I call it the political attack under the guise of accreditation, and we're still fighting those same things. So we are going to wrap up today, right now, but we will be back. We will not stop until we make sure that Fort Mason stays open, that they reopen the Eddy Street campus at Civic Center, and that students in San Francisco get the classes that they need and that they deserve.
My name is Judith Behringer, and I've been in the sculpture class for many years here. I think it's difficult for anyone who has not been in our class or been in a class like our class to understand how fundamentally important it is. We are not a typical college class. We've been seeing each other for a long time, and we have great fellowship. We go to funerals, we celebrate births of grandchildren. We are very involved with each other's lives. And I will tell you that personally, this has been horrible for me not to have my normal Friday class, which lasts from 8:30 until about 2:20. The other thing I would like to say, and it was touched on before, and it's about lifelong learning. It's such an important part of our lives, and it makes us into different people. I personally have been studying languages and living abroad and doing things that were hard, but I think it's made me a different person, and I wish that everyone had the opportunity to have this exposure. Cutting the classes at Fort Mason is a simply horrible thing to do for all of us, and also for the future people who are going to be oldsters like I am now. So I beg you to please let our class continue. Thanks.
My name is James Kirkham, and I came here in 1936 at the age of 3, and had a successful law career, and then what was I going to do? And one thing I'd always wanted to do was become an artist, and this campus allowed that to happen. I've had shows, I've had people collect my stuff. It's a absolutely wonderful, it's a wonderful thing that this campus has done for us. And I remember there's an old partner of mine, and he said, "I've seen a lot of changes in my life, and I've been against every damn last one of them." And I think that what happens here is that this city is very special, and it has a special atmosphere to it. And this Fort Mason, there is something that is unique. You're not going to find that anywhere else in the world. And there are two errors that I think that mistakes that are being made here. And one is to close the art campus entirely. It's just that resource can't be duplicated, and it won't come back. And the second is the loss of the adult community, which does contribute a great deal to the city, the atmosphere of the city, the art of the city, and as someone has said so well, the soul of the city. And this is something that I feel that what's happening here is that we're reducing our uniqueness to a level, a common denominator level. In any event, at the age of 87, this is pretty academic for me, but I do think that this is something that should be preserved with the city. And it's really, I myself, perhaps my background is practicing law with large corporations and all the rest, I think we are in a terrible situation where we have to make triage with limited funds, and I don't think that I can understand the frustration, but I think that to retain something that's unique about San Francisco and very special, and that can't be duplicated anywhere else, is a kind of a capital investment, in a sense, of preservation for the city that resonates all throughout the city. The values of properties elsewhere that if you make the San Francisco to some lowest common denominator, you are actually impairing the general economy elsewhere. But in any event, I do think that the people need to come on down to Fort Mason and see what's here. And again, you couldn't see I guess the old ad classes, but these were just a bunch of wonderful people making a contribution to the city in a way that just can't be duplicated and can't be reconstructed if it's destroyed. So I do think that please just consider keeping this unique asset in the city. Thank you.
When I was little, my dad, when he was teaching art class, he took me here a couple times, and I would see a bunch of students having lots of fun on the wheel, making clay and figures and bowls. So if this was lost, then it would be sad for everyone. And the little kids that come here to like play with clay and stuff, if you have any like kids that you bring, and those who are fighting for our right, thank you.